When you look at the earth, you could see how Joseph and Mary left Nazareth to Bethlehem, where Jesus was birthed. There is a place for every man to be rebirthed. There is a place God has prepared for you, for a rebirth to happen in your life. Till you find your own Bethlehem, your land of rebirth. You might not be fully restored. After your rebirth comes your place of an assignment. There is also a place of assignment. Your place of assignment and your place of birth is not the same. So you must not be at a place. You must move from one place to the next place. From Egypt to Israel, from Israel to Jerusalem, and to the promised land. That is a movement. You can't be stagnant. You can't be a stagnant believer. You are just one place. You need to move. Jesus kept moving till he got to a place of his assignment. That is where you are restored. Your place of assignment. When you begin to do the work which you have been sent to do, that is the season for you to be fully restored. That is the season for you to become. That is the season to explore. That is the season to express the love of God. That is the season to enter into the supernatural. It's a season, a very heavy season. Season that comes to eradicate everything that is not of God. Anything that will not allow you to function in the exact will of God. This is a season where you are restored to stand for the kingdom. This is a season where you are restored to do and become the will of God. Whenever the appointed time comes for a man to be restored, nothing holds it back. Nothing. Nothing stops it. Nothing can stop it. Nothing. Because it's a season, a time that God has prepared for you to be launched into his will. So you must not keep being in Nazareth. There is a time, there is a place, there is a point you will grow in life. You need to start looking for your Bethlehem, a place to be repeated. That is the process of your growth. You need to be rebirthed in the spirit. Where you are being born is not where you must become. It's not a must. There is a place for everything. There is a place God has assigned for everything. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but his place where he was crucified, where he was crucified for his assignment, was in Jerusalem. There was always a movement. There's always a shift. You must shift from one place to the next. Your prayer need to change. Your pattern of prayer need to change. You need to ask God your place of being rebirthed. It came that Mary needed to leave Nazareth to go to Bethlehem, because that is the land, that is the place where God has made it and prepared for Jesus to be birthed. And when it was time for Jesus to enter his assignment, he left his place of birth. He left the ground of his birth and he went to Jerusalem, where he began to fulfill purpose. That was his place of crucifixion. That was his place where he was dead. That was his place of resurrection. That is his place of assignment. You cannot be in Nazareth and fulfill purpose. You cannot be in the same place where you started and fulfill purpose. There must be a shift in the spirit. There must be a relocation. You need to be relocated. That is why restoration is not just bringing a man of God to your house to pray. That is temporal restoration. That is a temporary revival. When I'm talking about a revival of God, the revival that Jesus came to give to humanity, that is eternal, it comes from the root. You must tackle that problem from the root. The kind of restoration Jesus came to give to humanity is not a temporary restoration. It is a permanent restoration. And a permanent restoration is not bringing men of God that come to pray in your house for 1 week and go. That is not restoration. Restoration that is effective and productive is a restoration that went through a process. For Jesus to restore humanity, he didn't do it in a day. It took him 3 years of ministry to be able to restore humanity. So every work that you want, every pain that you want, for it to last long in your hand, must go through a process. Everything must go through a process. There is a season to crucify. There is a season to bury. And there is a season to resurrect to life. There is a season to become. That is restoration. When you enter your season to be glorified, when you enter your season to become, that is when you have launched into your place of restoration. Everything that I'm not, calling those things that I'm not as if it were, is not a day thing, it's a process. You need to walk into that process. But you need to start from the genesis. Don't fight battles from the surface. If you want to fight spiritual battles, you need to go spiritual. You need to go underground. You need to go from the root. You need to go to the bloodline. There need to be a crucifixion of the blood that you came with. You cannot be restored with this same blood. It's a temporary restoration. If you want to be fully in charge of your life, the kind of dominion that Jesus gave to humanity was a full-time dominion, not a temporary dominion. It's not that it is working today and tomorrow is not working. No. It's not that it is working today. My pastor prayed for it. After 2 years, they return. No. When I'm talking about full-time dominion, full-time becoming the kingdom of God, you must kill it from the bloodline, in the blood. From the root, you must crush that bloodline. You must crucify that blood that brought that calamity to you. There is a condemned blood that brought calamity, a blood that you inherited from your forefathers. There is a blood that you came on earth with that keep tormenting your life. You see, in some families, generation, they will say that in this family they don't give birth to children. In this family they die of Daniel. Is an inherited bloodline. You cannot overcome such blood